How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. Bengals coming off a big victory. Ravens coming off an even bigger victory. Stomping, making it look like light work. Beating up on those Buffalo Bills, the undefeated Buffalo Bills last night, holding Josh Allen and company to under 200 yards through the air. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of scared a little bit. Just a little bit as a Bengals fan. You know, this must be what it's like, what Patrick Mahomes feels like when he's walking up against the Bengals. You know, I'm terrified of this Baltimore Ravens football team. We all know the narrative. Lamar Jackson is 4-1 against Joe Burrow. The Bengals, now, 2 of the last 4 games haven't been decided within 1 possession, but the other 2, they haven't been pretty. The Baltimore Ravens have had their way with the Bengals in the past, and the Baltimore Ravens have had having their way with the Bengals in the past. The way the Baltimore Ravens like playing football, smash mouth football, shut you down, get some pressure on the quarterback, and just dominate football games, much like we see them do last night. The difference is, and I mean the big difference is, they was just throwing any slap second division 2 backup, whoever they wanted out there. No disrespect to Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards was a solid football player, but he was never their starter, right? They just throwing anybody out there and finding ways to win football. And then now you have Derrick Henry, who many might have thought, oh, are the wheels falling off? Is this guy starting to wear down? I mean, he's had so many touches, so many carries in his career. He is 28. You know, it's usually 29 when we start to see the downfall, 28, 29. Is this it for Derrick Henry? Well, no, we just, all we did was learn was how freaking good Derrick Henry still is at this game. Yeah, there was a lot of talk about how bad that Tennessee Titans O-line was these last couple of seasons. Derrick Henry is still finding a way to average 4.5 yards per carry. And now he comes to Baltimore. And again, I think all we could do is hope, the rest of the league could just hope that we was right and Derrick Henry was done. Because if he came to Baltimore, a team that loves to run a football, run blocks with the best of them, he's going to have a heyday. Week 1, we say, oh, look, we're all right. We're good. Hey, Derrick Henry, it's not as serious as we thought it was. Week 2, he's getting a little bit better. He's like a little more like Derrick Henry. Week 3 and 4, Derrick Henry is, how do you feel about 350 yards, 7 yards per carry? Woo! Yeah, good luck. Good luck. The Ravens' dream is Derrick Henry coming over here, averaging even 5 a carry, 6 a carry. That is beyond stellar. He's got 7. You ain't got to put as much wear and tear on the body of Lamar, having him run the football. You don't force him to throw the football as much. And that's been the Ravens' MO in the past, is don't force Lamar to throw the rock. We've seen, the MVPs show, if he needs to throw the football, he can do it. But the Ravens have always been a team like, hey, let's try to wear teams down on the ground. And it's a brilliant strategy, right? If they can't wear the team down on the ground, I think that's going to be a big part of the Bengals if they want to win this football game. They have to find a way. And I'm going to tell you right now, Cincinnati, you get 1 chance. You will get 1 chance in this football game to prove that you can run the football. And if you can't, out the window. And I don't mean to scrap it that quickly. I know we are big advocates of establishing the run game, but you do not have the opportunity to try and establish the run game with 2 or 3 drives. If it doesn't work early, it's out the window. Joe Burrow is coming into this game with what he has said and what has appeared to be, which is funny because it's the opposite of the media, the best start of his career in the first 4 games of the season. He's looked stellar. He's 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 107 passer rating on the season. He's got the 1 interception because I don't know what he thought he was trying to do last week. Threw across his body. It was a scramble drill. Anticipated Jamar Chase to go one way. He went the other. It looked ugly, but that was kind of the situation that happened. But again, kind of forced something he didn't have to, regardless, being in the situation it was. Besides that, the man's looked flawless. The offensive line has looked stellar. This is going to be the best offensive line that's going to go up against a Baltimore Ravens pass rush that has caused a lot of havoc in the past on this Bengals offensive line. Got a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow. Still won't ever forget it. One of the most traumatic things in Joe Burrow history in the Bengals is that first time he went up against that ball. First time, second time. They won, 35-0, 35-3, and they pulled Joe Burrow early 4th quarter and said, that's enough. We're not going to let our quarterback keep taking his beating. I won't ever forget it. Nonetheless, Matabuke, he's only half a sack this season. He's going to get going. You're going to see Kyle Van Noy get going. I'll tell you that right now, because that guy's a freak. He's been doing stellar so far this season. How's this offensive line got to hold up, though? You bring in Amarius Mims. Couple games starter now. They didn't start the season. Trent Brown gets hurt. We think Amarius was eventually going to take that job throughout the season regardless. They're going to ease him in. But, boys, he looked like a stud. look like a veteran back there. Bengals offensive line has looked the best it has looked in the Joe Burrow era. Joe Burrow standing back there, dancing around with time. Not dancing around like he's getting killed out there, but dancing around with time. No sacks allowed last week. Joe Burrow with time can make some noise. Joe Burrow with two of the best, two elite receivers, two great receivers, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins out there can make some noise. Eric All Jr. making an impact. The versatility, something the Ravens have not to deal with, is a versatile tight end on Cincinnati. You bring in, who I think Jermaine Burton, by the way, is going to see some time. He didn't get to play last week, but I think you bring out all the stops against Baltimore. You're going to see a couple go routes out of Jermaine, maybe a couple chances in that department as well. Yossi Vosh has been making some impacts. But you look at the Ravens now so far this season, they have been susceptible to allowing big games to wide receiver ones. Devontae Adams at 100. Rashee Rice at 100. CeeDee Lamb a little less so. But we'll see what happens, because this is the thing. We're looking at the past. We know how the Ravens are. The Ravens, not talked about it, but the Ravens are like a lot of football teams. A lot of good football teams. The Bengals get a lot of heat for starting slow. A lot of teams do it, though. A lot of great teams do it. A lot of good defensive teams. The 49ers have been known to, they win 3, lose. Was it last year they started 3-3? After going 3-0 the year before, there was, I think the Super Bowl, the running Bengals won in the Super Bowl. I believe they was 4-4 as well, because both teams went on a 10-game win streak, 8-game win streak. Ravens kind of the same story. Started 2-2 last season. Went on 2-2, went on to win the 11 of the last 13. This season, Ravens start 0-2. Now they're winning the next 2. Absolutely dominate the Buffalo Bills, perennial playoff contender, AFC Championship contender for sure. Ravens are clicking. So, there we'll see, did they figure things out in that secondary? Because this is a secondary that was ranked dead last in the league there for a little bit as far as allowing passing yards. They're still third last in the league, 29th ranked. Bengals can make some moves. And this is why we say you get one chance in the run game. Because if you can get the yard, you gotta put the foot in a game. You gotta win. The team you've struggled to beat, you've got to put the football in your franchise quarterback's hands early. You cannot force him to play from behind. You cannot force him to worry about the Ravens dialing up these fancy pressure packages against him all week, all game. You have got to worry about moving the football right out the gate. Something the Bengals have done really well the last 2 weeks is moving the ball out the gate. Historically, kind of a slow starter. And that might be part of the reason why. Trying to establish the run game. And you want to. There's nothing more you want to do. Look what the Ravens are doing. Just obliterating teams because they can sit there and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry all game where opposing defense is down. The Bengals, the best thing that could happen is the Bengals start out with Chase Brown. They wear defense down. They go about 12 plays, 7 rushes, 5 passes, and you wear down that Ravens defense. And more importantly, when you establish that run and you can put together some long drives, you're giving your defense a rest. And your defense is going to need a lot of rest when they are trying to tackle the freak of an athlete that is Derrick Henry, that has been running all over teams so far this season. That is so pivotal. Do I think the Bengals through the air can, go back and forth with the Ravens? Absolutely. But what scares me is the Bengals might go down the field in 3 minutes. The Ravens might go down the field in 8. And by the time that third and fourth quarter come around, that Bengals defense cannot get a stop when they need to get one. And I think if the Bengals want to win this football game, they are going to have to find a way to probably double up, probably get a turnover, and more importantly, find a way to stop Derrick Henry at least one time. Because you look at this team, I really thought this was the year Zay Flowers was going to come and step up and take that big step forward. And he had the one good game, and besides that, the guy's got about 158 yards through the air so far this season. I was expecting a lot more out of Zay. And that's just, again, part of the Ravens' MO on offense. When you got Derrick Henry rushing for 199 yards a game, Lamar ain't got to throw it as much. Again, that's what the Ravens want. But they've been using a lot of tight end action this season. We'll see if they continue to do that. And I think that might play more into the Bengals' favor than it usually does, just for the way that the CBs have been struggling. Cam Taylor Britt in specific has been having a hard time lately. Is he playing through an injury? We're not sure. Can he, we figured out, because we know he was stellar last season. That'll be key. But I think, again, if you're the Bengals, you're going to have to find a way to get that second half double up. You're going to have to find a way to just force a turnover. That was how they stayed in the Chiefs game. Make no mistake about it. It was forcing turnovers. They barely lost, probably should have won. But it was those 3 turnovers. They was having a hard time stopping to get the Chiefs on the ground as well until finally, at the end of that game, they did make a couple big stops. But the difference is how healthy will this defensive line be? The difference compared to that Chiefs game. Is Rankin's going to play? Is Hill going to play? You have to hope they can play. This is a big game for the Bengals. The Ravens are going to be all right. The Ravens probably still be a 12-5 team. Bengals, if they don't win this one, they'll be 1-4, 0-1 against the division. Meanwhile, you win this one, 2-3, 1-0 against the division. You're sliding right up to next to first place in the division. Still the Steelers 3-1 right now. A big game. Ultimately, when these games come in, and we talked about this against Kansas City, it felt like the Bengals did not have a chance. They were all over the Chiefs all game. There was really what I would call some silly play calling at the end of the game away from winning it, and some dumb mistakes, penalty-wise. They really lost that one. They threw it away, but it felt like they had no chance. There was some drop passes. It felt like they had no chance to win it going into it. That is what it feels like against Baltimore. I feel like they have zero chance to beat the Ravens. But when that happens, Joe Burrow comes out to play. This defense comes out and finds ways to make stops. The Bengals team as a whole finds a way to play up to their opponents and, well, unfortunately, play down to their opponents in a big way. But right now, with the way Lamar Jackson, the way Derrick Henry's playing, the way this Ravens team just figured things out these last two games, I am having a hard time seeing the Bengals win. I'm going to see Ravens 34, Bengals 27. Love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.